Welcome to the NYN Show. I'm particularly excited about today's guest. I'll go straight to him and ask him to introduce himself. Mr. Bafuboni, please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello, and thank you very much for having me on the show. My name is Marc Bafuboni, and I'm a pharmacist.
So Marc is a pharmacist. Marc, tell me a bit more about your background, please. So are you married? Do you have children? And that?
Yes, I am married. I've been married for 21 years to the same woman who's put up with all my bits and pieces. So for that, I'm grateful. We've got 4 children,
all right.
Age ranging from 21 to 15.
My goodness, you don't look like you've got a 21-year-old. Are you old enough to have a 21-year-old, or you just started early, which is which?
I think a bit of both, actually, because I am 51, so.
Yeah, okay. You're handsome. I mean, I wouldn't have given you 51.
A makeup.
Do you get people tell you look younger than your age or not?
Yes, until they see me in proper lighting, then they realize the truth.
All right. Now, Marc, tell me, I got particularly excited about your story because I know you've got a bit of a Jamaican background as well as Ghanaian. Can you tell us a bit more about that side of you, please?
Yes, my mother is Jamaican, and my father, who's no longer with us, is Ghanaian. He was an Ashanti from a small town called Pakoso, which is about 5 miles outside Kumasi on the Accra Road. My mother, Marie Millicent Bafuboni née Walters, we all call her MM for short.
Okay.
She is still with us, still terrorizing all of us. We're all dead scared of her. Typical West Indian mother, and she rules us with a rod of iron. And she comes from a town called Yorton, which is in St. Catherine, Jamaica.
Okay, it's great to know your mom's hometown, because usually when you hear of Jamaica, you think of Kingston, don't you?
Same way as when you think of Ghana, you think of Accra. But I mean, as you very well know, Accra is just one facet of what makes Ghana.
Of course.
Same thing.
Cool. I know a bit about Jamaica because I used to attend a West Indian church, and there were people from all the islands there, and but Jamaicans, there were more Jamaicans than that. So I'm very familiar with Jamaican food. The jerk chicken and rice and peas, the ackee and saltfish. Any other ones?
There's quite a few. There's breadfruit. There's there's quite a bit. It's a varied diet that, pineapple, there's the usual, cane, liquor, that sort of thing. So there are quite a few facets to the Jamaican cuisine. Same as with the Ghanaian cuisine as well. So as you can tell, I've got a foot in both camps. So
which side do you embrace more, Ghanaian or Jamaican?
Whew, that's a difficult one. I would say probably, on the balance of probabilities, I'd probably say I favor the Ghanaian side more. Primarily because the majority of my upbringing was in Ghana.
That's good. That brings me on to this question. Tell me a bit more about your upbringing. Where were you born?
51 years ago, some date in August 1970, I was born in Westminster Hospital in central London. So as my mom is always likely to say, you were born in Zone 1. My mother was a midwife working there. So she actually had me in the hospital where she was working. When I was younger, my dad decided to relocate. He was a structural engineer and he trained here. And after working for a few companies here, he decided to go back to Ghana. Because the pull of the motherland is a tug. And then he decided to relocate, and we followed him. Lived first in Accra, did a bit of nursery education there, and then to Kumasi. Because he's a Bafuboni, and Bafubonis are linked intrinsically to Kumasi.
I see.
So I did the rest of my nursery, my primary education in Kumasi. Went off to Cape Coast, St. Augustine's College for Form 1 to Upper 6 there. Read my first degree in University of Science and Technology. We called it Tech in my days. Nowadays they call it KNUST or something. I don't even know.
KNUST, isn't it? Yeah.
So I did my first degree, which is Pharmacy. And then after that, I decided to sit down and decide what I'll do with my life. I had a couple of job offers on the table, and I decided I would want to come to the UK and see if I could make a go of it. So I arrived here, and I've been here since.
I see. So from what you've told me, you trained as a pharmacist in Ghana. Did you do any work in Ghana before you moved to England, or was it straight after studying?
Nah, after I graduated, I did my national service, working half and half. Part was with the production pharmacy unit of the Catholic Drug Center in Accra, and the other part was at 37 Military Hospital, where I did my clinical attachment. So I did work in Ghana before traveling.
What was it like for you when you first got to England after growing up in Ghana? Actually, before I come to that question, is it safe to assume you speak Twi as well then, having done all your growing up in Ghana?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
It's the same.
I don't know. So I need to.
So, Marc, where did they?
And in particular, cereal.
So,
me pese me so take a cranty me.
So. Obi say me nya ne media da ka ne me da medi.
No, you're not correct. Say no, and only you see what you do is no, you kind of say first things first.
Okay.
You deal with one thing, and then you have the energy to deal with
the other thing. All right, but for the sake of our viewers, just in case somebody doesn't understand Twi, I want us to just do more English today.
Yes.
Because obviously we have people watching from Jamaica and all of that. Cool. So. What was it like for you then when you first came to England?
It wasn't very much different to what I was used to, because like I said, my mother is Jamaican. She trained in the United Kingdom. My father, though Ghanaian, also trained in the United Kingdom as a structural engineer. And he was very, very hot on punctuality. So it was like time. Everything was time. So when I came to the UK to work, I was used to getting to where I needed to go on time. I was used to having a structure to my day, and it wasn't very much different to whatever it is I was used to. So I would say same.
Okay, that's good. I think some people find it different, especially those who weren't privileged enough to have been born in England or done any growing up at all in England. So that's good from that perspective. How about work then? What was it like? Did you just come straight into pharmacy, or what was your first job?
No. Basically, in order to work as a pharmacist, you would either need to have done your pharmacy degree here in the UK, or do what is known as an OSPAP, which is Overseas Trained Pharmacist Conversion course. Okay. So I had to do that course. That took me 15 months. Okay. Beginning to end, at the end of which you sit for an examination. Assuming you pass it, you then enter the trainee pharmacist stage, where you have to shadow a practicing pharmacist for a year. Okay. That one, whether you do your degree in the UK or wherever it is, you will still have to do that pre-registration trainee year. So I did that year shadowing a community pharmacist in Streatham. And at the end of that year, you do another exam. If you pass it, then you're basically let loose on the world. Okay. So that's good. That means that you didn't have to do any jobs like cleaning or security. You wouldn't have to. The thing is, you see, while you're studying for all of that, for some very odd reason, you have to eat. You still have to pay bills. So what did you do with jobs? I worked in McDonald's. I worked in Burger King. I also I didn't do security because I'm too scared to do those kind of jobs. You see, you understand. So I didn't do anything of that. Security don't well, but a bump show so hungry. That's a different ball game altogether. Then I also worked in a community pharmacy as a pharmacy assistant. So that kind of helped me with the clinical side of my, the course I was doing. So. But basically, in terms of working, I would say probably I haven't had a day in this United Kingdom that I haven't worked. I arrived here on a Thursday. My brother-in-law had already put applications around, but Monday I started working at McDonald's. It's just the way it is.
Exactly. I think that's one of the points I try to make on this show, how we can help people create a career journey or create their beautiful stories. And you've worked in McDonald's before, you've worked in Burger King before, but now you are a pharmacist. And also the fact that you trained in Ghana, you didn't have to necessarily start your training in England. You did in Ghana, but you've been able to, I guess, get to the standard that's required here because you are a member of the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How does that feel, though, to just know that you've achieved all of these?
Well, what I would say is, off the top of my head, is it's a good feeling because, like I told my dad when he was alive, I decided to travel to the United Kingdom to satisfy myself that I could actually hack it. I didn't want to be, quote unquote, a crazy champion, be in my comfort zone in Ghana and just be doing, stuff in Ghana. I would want to know, listen, could you hack it abroad? Could you do it abroad? Could you, survive and thrive in a different environment? So that was a question I needed to answer for myself, which is why I came here.
That's great. So I guess that brings me on to the point of, before you embark on any journey, you have to do some self-assessment first. Where am I now? Where do I see myself? Or where do I want to get to? And then in between, where are the gaps? And that's when you start to think, how then do I bridge these gaps?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it sounds like you've done all of that. So I'm just thinking about, somebody else who may not have had it that straightforward. A pharmacist in Ghana. I've come to England. I've done a course. Is it OSPAC?
OSPAC,
yeah. I've done that for 15 months and I've had to shadow somebody for another 12 months before I just get a job as a pharmacist and work. Somebody may not have had that pathway that's clear. If they had come in as a cleaner, how would you advise them then to pursue something else?
Well, you see, the thing is, the job is moot. It is where you see yourself that is important. If for somebody money is the object, then there will be no reason for them to move away from the cleaning or from the security or doing anything else because they are earning. They've got enough to pay their bills, they've got enough to do bits and pieces, they've got enough to get themselves a plot of land in, Adregan or wherever and put up a building, those sorts of things. So that is the motivation. Ubiad the motivation. So once you know where you want to be in a certain case of time, then the movement between the cleaning job and then going into whatever it is that you are trained to do is there. What I would say is the United Kingdom might not be the most wonderfully climated country in the world or whatever it is, but in terms of being somebody arriving here and looking for the tools, the techniques, the opportunities, this country is one of the best in the world.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We're going to take a short break, commercial break, and when we come back, Marc, I want you to tell me a bit more about your challenges, if any. So we'll explore a bit more about your family life, your wife, how you met her, your children, where they're at now, and how you feel as a dad. How does that sound?
I'm game.
Okay, we'll be back soon. Thank you.
Hello there, my name is Beatrice Yakubu. I am the founder of Beatrice Yakubu Media. I'm a social media marketer and I help businesses expose their business to the online world through the power of social media. And what I love to do, I love to watch the NYN Show. And what do I get from there? A lot of inspiration, a lot of resilience, and just watching people share their stories and share their journey. That empowers me as well, and I'm recommending it to you so that you can get all these inspirations for yourself to promote yourself, your business, and your daily life.
Welcome back. And Marc, just before the commercial break, I was going to ask you about any challenges at all, because we've kind of seen your career journey has been almost smooth. I mean, Burger King is good, McDonald's is good. At the very least, I'm sure you got some food out of it.
Pretty much, I guess, yes.
Okay. So if you find, actually, how old were you when you came to England?
Crikey, I was 26.
26. So that's good, because people tend to think McDonald's is for younger people.
No, it's there were a full age range, but the majority of crew were students. So there's a lot of shift patterns and stuff like that.
Okay.
But they're pretty much in those days anyway. There was something for everybody. And I was using that as a stepping stone for something else, so I didn't really mind.
Perfect. Now let's talk a bit more about challenges then. Have you had any sort of challenges along the way?
Yeah, a good few. Life is, you know the way life is. You know, you have a master plan which looks smooth on paper, and then life happens. So no matter what, there will be challenges. Professional, personal, health. There's all sorts. So I've had my fair share.
Let's take one challenge from each aspect. So let's start with professional.
Okay. With professional, you need to understand that insofar as your passport says one thing, your color says a different thing. So no matter what, you always have to put in the effort to keep up with your white peers. And in order to actually survive and thrive, you've got to actually double your effort. And so while doing all of this, while working as a pharmacist, you know, you're a husband, you're a father, you want to go back to school. I went back to school and read an MBA. Okay, so I have a master's in business administration, and I, as such, it's kind of bumped me up a level in terms of the managerial process in pharmacy. But juggling all of that, trying to be a good dad and be a good professional as well is fairly challenging. My first job after I finished the MBA, I was a deputy area manager for a conglomerate called Lloyd's Pharmacy. My post area was in Essex. I had 18 pharmacies that I was directly responsible for. And my area covered all the way from Billericay through Westcliff-on-Sea, Southend, Thundersley, all the way down to Colchester. I was on the road most of the time. I used to leave home at 6:30 in the morning, get home at 9 o'clock in the evening.
Wow.
I wasn't seeing the children, so that's a challenge. Unfortunately, there are bills to pay, so that's a challenge too. So juggling all of that was, you know, difficult. Okay.
So Marc, you've been telling me about challenges at professional, personal, and others. Let's talk a bit more about your professional. Actually, you were telling me about the challenges you face, firstly as a person who is of ethnic minority background, and comparing to your white peers, and how hard you've had to push yourself to get that. You've also got an MBA in addition to being a pharmacist, and that's also helped push your career up. And then you were telling us also about where you got a job working with a cluster of pharmacists in the Essex region, where it took you away from home and all that. Continue from there for me, please.
Yeah, so like I said, at some point I realized, you know what, it's important to be able to pay bills. It's important to be able to, you know, put a roof over their heads. But it's also important to actually get to know your children. And I was, like I said, not there most of the time. So therefore I had to jack that job in. It was okay. It taught me what I could and couldn't do. It showed me the limits of my capacity. And then I took a different job, different company, but that was in London, close by where I lived, and the geographical spread where I had to cover wasn't as bad. London has its own sets of challenges, but at least I was able to see the kids more. I was able to, you know, attend school programs. I was able to do other bits and pieces. So that was there.
That's good. Should we talk a bit more about the personal challenges then? Just one.
Yeah, personal challenges. I'll probably say it was to do with health. Because I've always been a sort of disgustingly healthy person.
Okay.
You know, never been ill, never been to hospital. My GPs, they didn't even recognize my name when, you know, it came up on their list. I hardly attend, you know, that sort of thing. And then in Christmas 2018, I fell ill.
What was it?
I think period of heavy drinking. I wouldn't call myself a period of heavy drinking, social drinking, culminating with not eating properly and not eating well, caused my a perforated ulcer.
Oh.
So I threw up and there was a lot of blood and that sort of thing. So I was advised by my doctors to cut down on the alcohol and eat steadily. And then I realized in which case that alcohol had to go. So I stopped drinking and I no longer partake of alcoholic beverages now. It took me the best part of a day to make that decision, and that's it, no more.
So how long were you sick for? Were you hospitalized?
Right, no, I was taken to hospital. They shoved a camera down my throat. They shoved a camera off my backside. It was all a bit intrusive. One of them I gave one more break a crash. But I was sent back home the following day, and that was it. So I haven't had any problems, thank God, since then. And but the alcohol is gone, so not even anything, not even wine or punch. I don't even touch that.
I see. I guess that's a brave decision, especially somebody who must have been used to drinking and enjoying the social stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever smoke?
I did, years and years and years ago.
What did you smoke?
Christ. You know how it is. Majority of your viewers would have gone to boarding school, and and they would understand that the specific pressures, peer pressures in boarding house leads you down a certain path. I probably learned how to smoke when I was in secondary school.
I see.
On and off. I wouldn't call myself a heavy smoker who would be scratching your eyes out if you don't have a cigarette, but I knew what it was all about until some day in 2008. I was I had done a locum in a Boots in Brighton, and I was on my way back to London, and I had never smoked in a house. I never smoked in a car, never, not in front of the children, in fact. So I was coming back on the A23 from Brighton, and I suddenly felt like a cigarette. And I don't smoke in a car, so I pulled into a lay-by, and it was spitting with rain. I decided, let me just crouch down behind the car to light the cigarette. So as I crouched down behind the car to light the cigarette, a couple of heavy goods vehicle truck drivers came out of their cabs to help me. They thought I had a puncture, so they were coming to help me. And I'm like, no, it's not puncture. I'm just lighting a cigarette. And the guy looked at the sky, grey, spitting with rain. He looked at me lighting a cigarette. He just shook his head and went back into his cab. And I looked at myself and I said,
yeah.
So I came home.
How did I allow myself to get to this state? Yeah.
So I came home and I told the missus, I'm done with the cigarette. And she goes, oh yeah, sure, wait to me. And I'm like, watch me. And since then,
Oh, that's good. Well done. So I guess whatever habit you've got, when you make that bold decision, you're going to quit. It happens.
It kind of helps because my personal philosophy is if you are engaged in something, it's a habit you have. You have the habit. The minute the habit starts having you, then you have a problem.
It's a problem. Let's talk about your personal life a bit, family life. How did you meet your wife?
Oh, Christ. Let me think now. Okay. She was a student nurse then. And I think she was living somewhere up north here, somewhere around Edmonton, but she was schooling at King's, which is Waterloo campus. So the journeys so she wanted somewhere a bit closer to Waterloo. At that time I was living at the Oval, and somebody told her, there's this young chap who's got a spare room. So she came along to have a look at the spare room.
And the rest is history.
I took a look at her backside. I have a weakness for, that sort of thing. So instead of her renting the spare room, she moved into the master bedroom, and that was it. Oh,
I see. So, you know how they say that sometimes you know it when they're the one when you see them. Do you get that feeling? Or actually, some people also argue that you wouldn't necessarily know first time. You have to get to know them a bit. But in your case, it sounds like the minute you saw her backside, you knew that was it for you.
Not necessarily, but it led on to other things.
Yeah,
and then, as you said, the rest is history. 21 years down the line, yeah.
So do you look at the chest as well, or is it just the back?
Oof. Well, my personal feeling about this is there's some guys who like the ass. There's some guys who like the chest.
Okay.
There's some guys who like the face, and there's some guys who like the legs. Then there are the greedy guys who like everything.
All right. So where do you fall on that spectrum?
I'm just a backside man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I like that. So obviously you're a pharmacist. You're a very intelligent man. You know, you've got, because MBA is kind of hard to do. Are you a rich man?
If you're asking about financially rich, I would probably say it depends on where you look.
Okay.
Because for somebody who's on the breadline, I'm rich. And for somebody who's at the level of Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, I'm a pauper. But for me, if it comes to, if you're tallying family life, my children, my health, then I'm rich beyond measure.
That's beautiful. Do women find you attractive then? I mean, you're a powerful man, you're intelligent, you've got MBA. Women like smart men, don't they? And it sounds like you can also have a decent communication. So
I honestly do not know. I honestly and truly don't have the faintest idea.
So women don't come on to you?
No. The thing is, you see, in my line of work, you're meeting people who are seeing you on their worst day, right? Somebody comes into their pharmacy, they normally will come to the pharmacy because they are unwell. Yeah. Okay, it's a bad day for them. They've been into the doctors, they've probably been given some bad news about their health, they've been given a prescription, everything is buzzing in their head, they come to you. What you offer is, you dispense their medication, you counsel them on the use of the medication, you explain the side effects possible, you explain the side effects probable, you then provide a point of contact for them to ask questions that they weren't able to ask the GP. Because with a GP, once you see a GP, right, as a rule of thumb, the GP blocks off 10 minutes to consult with you. 10 minutes. That will take in name, address details, a few seconds of small talk.
What has that got to do with women finding you attractive, Marc?
No, what I'm driving at is when they come in, they are not there to find me attractive, they are there to access some knowledge. Okay. So it's never a case of somebody finding me attractive. I don't even find myself attractive.
How would your wife describe you if we asked her to sum you up in 3 words?
The missus, it depends on her mood, actually. Thing is, you see, probably because of the fact that I'm literally scared of my mother, right? And I told you there's four of us, and all of us are scared of my mother. Okay. I'll give you an example. My older brother, his second child, his first daughter, was named after my mother. She's called Marie Millicent. Okay. My big sister, who happens to be a senior appeal court judge in Ghana, her daughter is called Vanessa Marie. So my mother is called Marie. Okay. My first daughter is called Anne Marie. Okay. So it says a lot. Yeah. My younger brother hasn't got any children, but if he has a daughter, there'll be a Marie in there somewhere. I see. So that brings me back to my missus. She dominates me in a way like my mother dominates me. Okay. So I just, I'm just there and I just look at her. You understand? Yeah. So she'll probably tell you that I'm untidy. She'll tell you I'm lazy. And she'll probably tell you I got jokes. That's about it. Okay. That's good. I'm just thinking about your role as a dad. Yes. How would you describe yourself as a dad? Well, what I've basically told the children, and I reiterate it on every occasion, is if there's a problem, come and talk to me first. Come and talk to me first. Any time of the day, any time of the night. And if you talk to me, we will end up to solve the problem. Yeah. I don't want them taking information from peculiar sources. Yeah. If you have an issue, come and talk to me. It doesn't matter what the issue is. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to be mad at you. We will solve the problem. Do they talk to you? Yes, they do. Okay. You see, and I like to think I'm a kind of hands-off dad where I just leave them to do their own thing. But so they know that if there's an issue, come to you. How many girls have you got? 2 of each.
Oh, so 2 boys and 2 girls.
Boys and 2 girls.
So with what's happening with our young people these days, knife and gun crimes,
Yes.
Do you worry for your kids?
It worries me sick.
Okay.
It worries me sick in a sense that the thing that is going on is a clear and present danger to our children, and we don't seem to accept that it's dangerous. What we're doing is we keep on pointing a finger at racism. We always claim it's racism, 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 and I'm thinking to myself, one boy stabs another boy. Where does the racism come into it?
You mean one black boy stabs another black boy? Yeah.
Where does the racism come into it? They tell you the police are racist. I don't give a toss about the police being racist. What I'm saying is our kids have a problem. Whether it be misplaced bravado, whether it's misplaced machismo, whether it's just plain drugs or gangs or whatever it is. But these boys are wounding each other, they're hurting each other, they're ruining each other's lives. And it needs to stop. And the solution to all of this will come from within the black community. Once we accept we have a problem. Because it's said, if you are dealing with an alcoholic, the first step to recovering is to accept that you have a problem. Likewise, if we are dealing with this issue, we need to accept we have a problem.
Okay.
Once we accept, we should be able to find a solution. Because we are not stupid. As a race, we are not stupid. We're smart. We're damn smart. And we should be able to strategize and come up with a solution that does not point a finger at that racism or this, that. The issue is within us, and we need to find a way of solving it.
Perfect, thank you for that. Now, I just want to go back briefly to your background. So, half Jamaican, half Ghanaian, and you said you embraced your Ghanaian side a bit more. Have you been to Jamaica at all?
Yes.
Okay. How do you find it in comparison to Ghana?
It's a wonderful island. The people are nice, they're friendly. Family is family, obviously, so it's a thing, right? But the main difference would be language, because for example, everybody there will speak bit of patois or English, whereas walking the streets of Accra, you can hear different.
Ganyobi?
You can hear the Gaman saying something, you can hear the Everman saying something, so there's that mishmash of languages. But other than that, they're quite...
there is this perception that Jamaicans are aggressive and violent in comparison to Ghanaians.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know what they say? Every stereotype is rooted in cold, hard fact. So I'll just leave that there.
I see. So if you were walking and somebody attacked you or bumped into you, just decided to pick up a fight with you, which side of yours will come out first? Is it your Jamaican side or your Ghanaian side?
The Jamaican side.
What would you do?
Well, they are quite athletic. I'll run.
And you athletic, Mark?
I used to be, but now BB.
Okay, I know you were a die-hard Tottenham football Spurs fan. Tell me a bit more. What's going on with you? Where we are on the league table?
We're playing Wolves at the moment.
Okay.
When I checked, we're leading by a goal to nil. Dele Ali, you know. I don't know why. I just don't know. I've never lived in North London before, so I don't know why I like Spurs. But
you go there to watch them play, don't you?
I've been to the new stadium a few times. A wonderful stadium, the best I've ever been into. Because I've been to the Camp Nou. I've been to the Bernabeu, both in Spain. I've been to the San Siro in Italy. Spurs new ground is the business. Anybody at all, I'd advise, if you want to go to that, go and watch a match there.
Good, Mark. I've enjoyed our chat. I'm just wondering, in trying to bring it to a close, do you have any values, any personal values, and what are they?
I do, yes, actually.
And why? Okay.
What I would say is the value which is closest to my heart would be reliable. Because from reliability springs everything else. If you're reliable, if I tell you I will be on such and such a place at such and such a time, I have to do it.
Yeah.
That leads to everything else. If you are unreliable, then whatever it is that attached just falls into the water. So the value I cherish the most is reliability.
Okay. Do you have any other ones?
Punctuality?
Okay. So reliability and punctuality, they go hand in hand, don't they?
Yes, and a slightly irreverent sense of humor.
That's all right. So, I was going to ask, because you said something about women with big bum, and that's what attracted you to your wife. What's sex with a big bummed lady looks like or feels like if somebody is watching us and they want inspiration?
I'll tell them, try and see. You'll be smiling.
Really? It's not like me not to be able to find questions.
You have it.
Yeah, try and see, man. But somebody wants to hear you talk and they're like, tell me. You came on my radio show last time, and then I asked you why people should watch my radio show. What was your comment?
I told them, say, hostess, you know, she's the hostess with the mostest. And the mostest, you know,
okay.
They should follow you. And it'll be an experience that you won't get away from easily. And I still hold to.
Well, thank you for that. And people also tell me I've got other things. But no, it's interesting. So what's sex with a pharmacist like? It's,
shall we say, it's medicinal. and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'll have to take your wife's number and check in with her to see if what she tells me will corroborate what you've just said. But on a serious note, I know you had COVID, Marc.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
It was COVID. It was like the flu, but raised to the power 9. You know, anybody who's ever lived in a tropical country in West African probably have developed malaria, you know, at some point.
Yeah.
You know, the bone shaking pain, the aches, the shivers, the chills, the whole lot. Yes, you get that. But that surprised me the most, though, was because they had a list of symptoms, you know, loss of taste, loss of smell, dry cough, I had none of that. What I had was just pain and breathing difficulties.
So how did you know it was COVID?
The funny thing was, I did one of these lateral flow testings. It came back negative. My GP then referred me to have one of the NHS PCR tests. It also came back negative. But all the while, my oxygen saturation in my bloodstream was dropping, and that should be 95 or more.
I guess you know that as a pharmacist.
Yeah, that should be 95 or more. And I was hovering 90. Next time I checked, 88. At some point, it was 82. And my GP goes, no. Referred me to have an X-ray done. X-ray comes, you had a look at it, and there was dark patches on my lungs.
Wow.
So that's when they realized that I had a viral infection that was actually causing my lungs to get inflamed. So I was given a course of steroids, a course of antibiotics, not 2 sets of antibiotics, and a course of steroids. And then 3-4 days later, my oxygens were climbing. By the end of the week, I was back to 95. I was as weak as a baby.
Yeah, so you've described your COVID symptoms, even though it wasn't confirmed.
It wasn't confirmed, but I did what we call an antigen test. And it found immunoglobulins showing that, yes, that's what I had. But it just so happens that either the test then didn't recognize the variant I had, or whatever it was, but that's what I had.
But you see, that's the scary part, because somebody could have the virus spreading it and they're not even aware, because the PCR or lateral flow test doesn't even confirm that.
That is the whole point, which brings me neatly back to the urging, if you can and you are eligible, get a jab done.
Okay.
It cuts out a lot of aggro.
Perfect. And your balls shrunk?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How obvious was it?
Very obvious.
Did it stop you from performing?
Yes, I was too weak to even wee without help to stand up. So performance was the last thing on my mind.
Seriously?
Yep. When I say weak, literally, my first test, and I just about it dimechi. Yes, I could even topple over backwards.
Oh my God.
And I was one of the lucky ones, because I wasn't hospitalized. A GP friend of mine, 3 times, for ambulance by fear, 3 times he woke up from a sick bed and ordered the ambulance away, because also hospital. You understand? I was lucky. I wasn't even a candidate to go to hospital. At
what point then did you get your mojo back? Because obviously your balls shrank and you couldn't perform.
Oh, balls not shrank here. But let me think. Probably about 6 weeks. Yeah. 6 weeks. And one or some you know, sort of thing. Now, there might be a whole you understand, so it happens. So that's no reverted to a good vim.
Yeah, okay. So the bowl shrunk, and did it affect the main?
No.
Okay.
But minimum be or no, then both of them shrank.
And you initial out to mean performing, and
it was such one necessary when on a decoration into you know, it gives sound accompaniment to whatever it is you are doing.
Marc, it's fun talking to you. But as a wrap up, what are the key takeaways for you from this conversation? And what advice would you give to people watching us in terms of career choices, family situations, and anything else you want to add?
What I would say for me, the main thing is for the youth, especially those from Afro-Caribbean background, there isn't any shame in doing a 9-to-5 job to put food on the table for you and your family, right? There isn't any shame in being able to hold your own academically. People will call you a SWAT or a teacher's pet, or they'll call you a nerd. Don't worry. Because in the final analysis, the nerds are the ones who own the world. Somebody like Bill Gates, coming through school, IT guy, almost quack, 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 quack. Somebody like Steve Jobs, quack, 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 quack. But these are the nerds who create things, who own things, who run things. Whereas the hard guy in school who has his trousers halfway down his backside with his dirty underpants showing, what's he going to do? You see, change focus.
Thank you. On that note, Mr. Marc Buffle-Bonney, thank you very much for spending some time with us in the studio.
Thank you
We
very
look
much
forward to you're welcome. We look forward to welcoming you back again at some point.
Pleasure.
So viewers, you've been watching Marc. I hope you found his story interesting, and yeah, thank you for watching. If this inspires you and you've got your own story that you'd like to share, by all means, please contact us on the details on the screen. Thank you, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon. Bye.